And with the second album, I was reading that it leaked like quite a
Um,
lot. Is that right?
yeah, so yeah, that one because again, I think like with Silent Alarm, we finished the album because we'd written it like before Silent Alarm had even come out. We were writing that album, and
Oh, right.
um, so I don't think we recorded it till like 2006, I think it was. But yeah, again, there was going to be this long gap of um, when the album's finished and when it came out, and yeah, that was kind of the peak, like LimeWire was it
Mm,
era of
yeah.
of people kind of figuring out you could download music and download it before it's even released. So yeah, we I mean like we were victims of it, but I think you know, it's hard to gauge how much impact it actually had. It was
I
like a
suppose it can
well-received
create a little bit of a
album.
buzz in a way, can't it?
Yeah, I think the length of the leak was probably the detrimental aspect of it because it was so long. It
Oh,
wasn't
okay,
like,
right.
oh, this is coming out like in a week or so. It was like, oh, this isn't meant to be coming out for months. So I guess because it was quite long, it was kind of detracting from the impact of the plans that like we in the record label had, because when you especially at that time it was like, when we're putting out a new song, you can make quite a big fanfare behind it and kind of get the first play on whatever radio station and things like that. And it was like, oh wait, like thousands of people have already got the album, so these things are becoming less important, and is this going to affect sales and that kind of thing? So um, yeah, I guess it was just I think it was just frustrating because there was like a, a schedule and a plan for doing things, and then it leaking so long um, kind of meant that things had to be rushed, brought forward, and so on.
Mm.
Um, so then, yeah, then with the third album, we kind of like released it suddenly as soon as it was finished with like kind of no like promotion or anything. Um, which yeah, I don't know, probably wasn't a, a best thing to do looking back, but
Why would you say that?
um, I think it just like at that time it felt like if you were kind of actively spending like a period promoting things, it did actually have an impact. Like it
Oh,
meant
okay, right.
that you could get on radio shows and plan because you can't just like, well, if you're of a certain level, you can probably do what you want, but for where we were, it was like if you wanted to get on Jules Holland or whatever. It's like these things kind of they had to be mapped out in advance.
Mm.
So because it was like suddenly, oh yeah, that's their album, that's out. None of the kind of media are on board because they liked to have exclusivity
Right,
and
yeah.
so on. Where it was just like, yeah, sorry, album's out. Do you want to do something? So
Yeah, I quite like that.
um
It's funny.
so yeah, but again, also like I don't think it was the end of the world either. Like I guess it's one of those things you can't really gauge the impact, but um,
Yeah, because I imagine by that point you've got quite a big following anyway.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think if at that point, because you've got an audience, if you're putting an album out, then enough people are going to take notice, and if it's good, then they're going to like it and continue to support you and tell other people. And if it's not, then it doesn't matter if you leaked it suddenly or you spent months promoting it before it comes out. I think the quality is what matters at that point. So yeah, I don't think it was the end of the world, but I guess I don't know. I think it was a decision based on a reaction to the frustration of the previous one
Mm.
leaking rather than actually like this will be like a great thing to do. So, but yeah, I don't. Not a disaster.
Yeah. Great. George Maddox says, "Does you remember the gig at Astoria when all of us in the crowd knew the lyrics to the new track from A Weekend in the City, despite it not being released? We clearly all had the same hooky copy, and Kelly called us out on it by going, how do you all know the lyrics to this?"
I mean, I'm sure Kelly was just feigning, feigning astonishment. We knew that you know what happened? Some intern at V2 leaked the record, our own record label.
Wow.
That's what happened, and it was right in the middle of I think I was still in hospital when my lung collapsed when that leaked. So it was just like it was all. I mean, we knew it was probably going to happen, but the fact that it was someone who was supposed to be working for us made it like so egregious.
So you knew exactly who had done it?
I can't remember his name. I'm sure he's like a CEO at Spotify now or something. You know, these always land on their feet somehow. But yeah, I think his name might have been James something, if I recall. I can't all the emails pertaining to that on my old Hotmail account, which vanished into the ether a very long time ago. But yeah, apparently he was dealt with swiftly. But I mean, not before I had the chance to kneecap him.
I mean, do you think that definitely hindered you rather than helped you? Would you say?
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it only hindered us insofar as we didn't have the chance to shape the narrative of the record before it came out. But everyone's records were getting leaked. That, it was a sport, wasn't it? Trying to find someone's record online that had been leaked.
True.
It happened to everyone. We did our best to avoid it from happening. I think even to the point where the promo copies of the record were MP3 players with the headphones soldered into the jack, so you couldn't rip it. But I mean, obviously he somehow figured out how to do that. So there was only so much we could do to prevent that from happening. But it was hard because people had already heard the record and made their minds up on it before it came out, before we'd actually gotten a chance to do our promo campaign properly. And I get it. Could it have been a better record? Absolutely. We could have shaved about 15 minutes off of that and maybe scraped away half of the production on that record. But it is what it is. It's just there's nothing you can do about that. But the fans really quickly got on board to the fact that they preferred the B-sides more than A Weekend in the City, and it's fine. It's not you make the music. You can't control how people are going to receive it at all. You can't. But I think it hurt us quite a lot, the fact that we couldn't stop it from. We couldn't let that record come out in the way in which we wanted it to, and we couldn't. Because to be fair to Kelly, he had this whole it was vaguely a concept record. I think maybe we fluffed our lines a bit when it came to that, and it could have been a bit more cohesive for sure. But he at the time at least, I think he put a lot of thought into what he wanted to say about this record before it came out, and before he even had the opportunity to do so, people had already listened to it. So it was tough. Do I remember that gig? I might have a shred of a memory of it. I don't recall it being at the Astoria. A lot of it is lost to the history of man at this point.